Okay. Thank you. Thank you for coming to this seminar. I'm going to present you something about my PhD studies that I'm going to finish in April. The title of this presentation will be Business Model and ICTs for Developing Local Agrofood and Tourism System. First of all, I would like to introduce something about where this research has been conceived. This is because we are going to speak a lot about context and context awareness, so I will say you something where I'm coming from and why I decided to carry on this research in tourism and agri-food. This research is part of my PhD at the University of Calabria, that is in Cosenza, in the southern part of Italy, and is a PhD in civil and industrial engineering. Actually, Calabria is a particular region because it's full of, it's a region with a particular rural attitude, and it's full of a beautiful place to visit, and with mountain, sea, and historical background. And but we have a lot of problems because even if it's a really rural region, and the value added from rural areas is almost the double of other regions in Italy. And tourism is relevant. There are still a lot of problems, but Calabria is one of the poorest regions in Italy. There is a great unemployment rate, and the GDP per capita is almost far below the average of Italian region. This is why I would like, with this research, to have the development of these two sectors that are quite important, and both of them are characterized by the presence of many really small farmers and tourist providers. And according to this research, by using some collaborative organizative model, they could improve their performance. This research is what is common to this sector, and this research is the collaborative network paradigm, that it's related to the information, resource sharing, sharing of risk, and these kind of things among actors that that are working in networking organization. And both in the agri-food sector as in the tourist sector, there are cases which exhibit this kind of movement from from bottom-up movement that are improving this kind of new collaboration. For example, in the agri-food sector, there is the new collaboration fostered by alternative food networks between consumers and producers. Like in the tourist sector, there is a new kind of collaboration among tourist operators who are trying to collaborate to compete with the big organization, and thus fostering a more sustainable development of rural areas. Now let's start with the agri-food networks. If we look at the agri-food system from a network point of view, it's related to a complex network of economic actors who interact along each stage that bring the food from the farm to forks, and they exchange information and material along all this stage. What is particular in alternative food networks is that they minimize the number of actors in this network, but if you minimize the actors in the network, all the stages are still to be performed by someone. So there is the need of competence, skills, and information flow among those actors who are involved in these networks. Moreover, they minimize the physical distance between food and consumers, and they are important for the redistribution of value among in the supply chain. These are some of the most well-known form of alternative agri-food networks: direct on-farm sale, farm shops, box schema, pick your own. Each of them is characterized by the fact that people involved in this kind of network can learn from each other. And some particular thing is that what is new in this kind of network is related to the relationship among producer-consumers, where this interaction happens, and the learning that people can achieve by participating to this network. For example, in a box schema, because of the fact that the box that people receive is fixed, is based on seasonal products, consumers could learn about how to consume those seasonal products. Other forms are represented by collective farm shop, farmer market. In farmer market, for example, people can interact with each other while participating into the market, so there is a kind of learning experience among consumers who can interact while they are attending a stand, and between consumer and producer, because they can speak directly with producer, and as well as among producer, because by staying in the same place they can learn each other, and they can learn about how some product is perceived by the consumer. Other two forms are represented by CSA, and this kind of alternative networks is that one that provides more the best relationship between producer and consumers, because consumers are involved in the process, still the beginning of the process. They can negotiate with producer, for example, the crop varieties to produce, as well as the distribution model, and moreover they share the risk of the failure of crop with the producer, because they buy in advance a share of the production. Or this form, the collective buying groups, is really important for the collaboration among among consumers, because this kind of alternative networks is quite popular in Italy, more than box schemes or CSA, because in Italy we have what is called gruppi di acquisto solidale, is solidarity buying groups, and people choose to stay together to choose which product from which producer to buy in bulk some product. While producers are not so much involved in this kind of network, at least as network, because they are just chosen by the consumers. ICT, of course, as I told you, because all the activities have to be done by someone in some actor in the networks, there is the need of a great exchange of information among all the actors in the networks, and the ICT can help in this kind of information exchange with many possible tools like web page or informative system. This is an example of a really nice one in Italy. It's called Le verdure del mio orto. It means the vegetables from my garden. It's a kind of a CSA, and people can decide which kind of products they would like the farmer produce, and then they get what came from the field. And they have also a kind of in this particular tool they offer also the availability of a webcam to consumers to look on the field of what is going on. Those I presented are just few, maybe the well-known form of alternative network, but because there are many activities that has to be done to bring the produce from the field to the fork, for example, gathering, storage, transportation, and they could be done on the production side or the consumer side. There are many possible combinations, and each of them require information and labor from producer or consumers. Coming back to the collaborative network perspective, because there is a theory from Camarinha Matos about different level in collaboration that goes from networking, just exchange of information, to coordination, that it implies they are called building block because on each stage there is what was in the previous one plus something else. In the coordination there is the alignment of activities. In cooperation there is the compatibility of goals, and actually in the cooperation there are a lot of supply chain managed by a big organization who control the process of the other one. And then there is collaboration when all the network and the organization work as a unique entity. They share knowledge, risk, they share tools, and they act to achieve a common goal. As I told you before, even if, regardless of on the different form of alternative networks, each of them provide a space where people can talk to each other and can exchange knowledge about agriculture, healthy food, production methods, seasonality, and can speak each other about this kind of question. And the main characteristic of alternative network is that this exchange of knowledge is based on face-to-face interaction that occurs during the performing of alternative networks activities. So the learning is quite important, also because it's one of the building blocks for collaboration, because by providing the tools and the organizative models that help in managing the learning relationships among actors in this kind of networks, it's possible to increase the mutual understanding and so the trust among the actors of the networks, and so it's possible to start a real, proper collaborative networks that acts like with its own identity. What I studied in this PhD is starting from the learning perspective on alternative networks, focusing on situated learning. Situated learning is defined as a kind of learning that places a learner in a setting where the process of gaining knowledge is contextualized in experience participation framework, and learning is a social process that is situated in a specific context and embedded with a particular social and physical environment. What is important is the social interaction and when and where this interaction occurs, because it's related to the learning by doing, and it's related to the learning that occurs in a specific context, and the context contributes to the learning activities, to the learning experience of people involved in the activities. And of course, alternative food networks are suit this kind of definition because the consumer and producer are involved in particular activities in a specific field and context, and they exchange knowledge in this particular context. So what I did for my PhD was to try to model the situated learning opportunity that occurs in alternative networks. By starting from the situated learning opportunity that occurs in every alternative networks, focusing on three main components: the face-to-face interaction, the knowledge information source, and the learning content domain. The face-to-face interaction regards who participates to the relation, the time in terms of season, of the time, or the stage of activities, the location is if the face-to-face interaction occurs in production site or in consumer side, and the environment. The environment is, for example, is different if you go to for a pick your own and you stay involved on the ground in the field side, or if you are participating in a farm market in an urban area. And the knowledge information source, that could be personal, your own knowledge. Crowdsourcing, it comes from the alternative network, from collaborative network, organization, producer, consumer organization, or extra organization that could be, for example, research institutes that speak about the healthy food, about nutrition properties, and these kind of things. The learning content domain is related to what are the topics, the issue that are treated in this face-to-face interaction. That could be agri-food products, people, operation, organization, and so on. Starting from the situated learning opportunities, it's possible to see that ubiquitous learning is a promising paradigm to study and to improve situated learning opportunities in alternative agri-food network. Ubiquitous learning is really related to situated learning opportunities, but there is the mobile computing that plays the role of mediator between the personal behavior, the physical context, and the virtual context that is provided, for example, from website or media. So it's possible by providing mobile services to augment, to increase these kind of situated learning opportunities in alternative food networks by increasing in terms of permanency, by recording what happened during a face-to-face interaction, accessibility, by providing the opportunity to the user of mobile services to access to media, different media, interactivity, situatedness, by providing services that can, through the use of mobile sensor, understand the context where a face-to-face interaction is happening, or adaptability that is related to the possibility from the mobile services to provide the correct information to the user because of his identity, his perspective, his profile, or the context where he is operating. So what I did for my PhD, in one part of my PhD was a review of mobile applications that are available on App Store and Google Play, to answer the question to what extent existing mobile applications are supporting consumers in increasing situated learning opportunities. And the purpose was to understand how the current application were supporting situated learning opportunity, and to understand if it was possible to conceive some other mobile services to improve this kind of learning opportunities. So I started this review in 2015. I selected 126 apps, all of these apps were apps, of course, present in those two repositories. They had a description written in English or Italian, and they were claimed at least to have some kind of alternative food networks, and they were using some ubiquitous features like the GPS or some other sensor. Most of them were apps which were oriented to support the direct on-farm sale and farmer markets. Some of them were supporting more than a single IFN form. For example, this one and this one. And I can say that most of them were apps that were developed in USA and were a kind of directory, a listing app that were using maps to list and to let people know where farmer markets or direct farm sales were located, but they were not providing so many useful services. And they were, I can say that most of them were developed in USA also because it was easier to develop this stuff in USA because the USDA provided to developer some API with a register that they had of every farmer market in USA, so it was quite easy to collect data just to show to people this kind of data. What I did for all these 126 apps was, first of all, to classify the function that they were providing in terms of information flow and the scope of the function. Information scope flow that was reporting if the user was sending message to the system, informational if it was the system that was pushing messages to the users, and interactional if it was both. And there were two main scopes. One was social oriented and the other one was decision support oriented. Then, having classified all this up, what I did was to use this functional analysis that was based on, for each function, if it was knowledge-based, context-based in terms of detecting identity, location, or time, and in terms of knowledge information source, if it was personal, organizational, or crowded from the AFN, or extended crowd. If it was supporting, for example, an external social channel like Facebook or Twitter. From the social-oriented app, I found that just the 36% of the app I reviewed was providing social reporting functionalities, while just 28%, even if the social interaction is so important in this kind of in this kind of collaborative network, just the 28% of them were providing social reporting and social searching functionalities, while just one app from the push side was providing social searching, pushing, and reporting functionalities. These are the example of maybe the best app for social-oriented, with social-oriented functionalities. This farm stand that was building a kind of community. It's somehow similar to Facebook, but it's oriented just to farmer markets in USA, and it's really participated from many people who are updating pictures. They can interact with each other, they can add all their friends from Facebook on this app, and it's quite well done. While this one is Orto in Task, it's an Italian one, it's related to a research project actually, but and it's the only one who is sending a push notification to people when there is, for example, some post or comment on what people added to the system. If we think about the social-oriented function, we can say that there are two main typology of functionalities, and there are, from the 46 apps that provide social-oriented functionalities, there are 20 that are providing an internal social channel, while 15 are using external social channel, like integrating Facebook in the mobile application. But those, and we can see that those who are using an internal social channel are those that are more oriented to build a community around the app and to build a closed community around the alternative networks, while those who are using external social channel are maybe more oriented to let other people, other users, to add to this kind of network, because they are not able to control and to research and to use as much as a tool as possible for in external channel. I also focused my attention on those who were using the social channel, and of course those that are more likely supporting situated learning are those who are allowing people to search or report data on a knowledge-based in a knowledge-based way. I mean, on a specific topic from those identified in learning content domain. And among these, just 15 are those that can be really useful in terms of situated learning opportunities, because just 15 are using something coming from the context. Most of them are using just the identity of the people who are participating to the internal social channel. So I can say that as regards the social functionalities, in terms of situated learning opportunities, they can increase the permanency, because they just register every post that people add to the system, and some of them, in 5 cases, they add also the location when the people add a post, so it's useful just to record, one way to record, to let people to learn after participating to the face-to-face interaction, because they have recorded their interaction, and in somehow they can also in the situated learning, because they can help users to understand what people who live at least or are engaged in alternative networks close to their to where they live, what did they say. In terms of situations, they and this app helps people to, by implicitly detecting the identity and time, to accessing content data and to accessing the post that other people added. In terms of accessibility, through searching function, they provide users assistant access to contextual updates, for example, in the social context. As regards the decision support system, this is Locavore, is one of the best apps in the sector. I found that all the app, the 100%, provide decision support searching, while just 71 provide decision support reporting, 33 pushing, and 40 task automation, where task automation is mainly related to the opportunity to buy online, so they can optimize some ordering activities. As regards the searching, I found that all the apps were knowledge or partially partially knowledge-based means that in the same app there could be some function that is knowledge-based, and at the same time some other function that is not. So this is why are partially knowledge-based. But in the same, all the apps have some knowledge-based functionalities, and all the apps have some partially context item. So I can say that in terms of decision support of functionalities with decision support oriented, all the apps can help in situated learning, in offering situated learning opportunities to users, at least in the selection of the alternative food networks, in the selection of the people to which interacting by face-to-face interaction, and the content to deal with during the interaction. So they are aimed to support learning opportunities before the face-to-face interaction, and this is one of the extension that mobile application may give to the situated learning opportunities in alternative networks, because mobile application can extend these opportunities before the face-to-face interaction, while or after the face-to-face interaction, like for example recording what happened during the interaction by, for example, saying which are your favorite products, or adding some comments, some evaluation about the products you bought. About reporting, there are functionalities like, for example, add something, products or organization or recipes to your favorites, send us a photo, or add marketing date to your calendar, and this kind of functionalities. But as you can see, you can see there are just 52 apps that provide this kind of functionalities, and most of them don't provide, use just the mobile phone memory, local memory, to record this data. So this data cannot be used by the organization, or maybe to understand which is the demand of products, for example, and are not so useful, and they don't use so much contextualized item. About pushing, what I did, and I did this kind of tables for all these items, just 29 apps provide pushing, push notification to user, and this is a pity because the push notification are something that could be really useful in terms of mobile application, because they can interact, they can understand which is the context of the user, and they can interact in the best way for using a smartphone, because they can provide tailored information to the user in terms depending from the context. In particular, there is, for example, one app, just one app, that sends coupon to user located in close proximity of the app, of the alternative networks, and this is a really nice way to provide information. But there are, for example, there aren't any app that help consumers who, by learning about their identity and their preferences from favorites about products, by learning in which period of the year they are interacting from the app, and by using their knowledge about the seasonality of products, there aren't any app or helping consumers to buy seasonal produce by providing them the right information about the product is going to be in season. And there are, for example, two apps that send push notification to user when they are close to an alternative network. This is quite nice if you are traveling in some way that you don't know. And there are 22 apps who provide notification about the approaching of order closing date. And as you can see in this table is organized for learning content domain and context item, and these kind of push notification can have users in the operation stage. But task automation, there are just 40 apps that provide this kind of services. Actually, there are 21 apps that looks quite similar because they are related to the same framework provided by this local food marketplace in USA, which is a company that provide a framework for helping farmer market and food hub to manage their operation and provide this kind of mobile application that was been adopted by 21 different organizations in USA. So, in concluding, what I found from this kind of research is that, first of all, none of the reviewed apps exhibit pervasiveness characteristic. But in terms, there was no app that was able to understand by interacting with the environment, by letting the user interacting with the environment by the means of the app, by, for example, RFID sensor or by some specific tag, to understand the context that provided the right information in the right place at the right time. All the apps that I reviewed were using in a very limited way the context awareness that could be used, and most of them were just helping learning situated opportunity for doing the face-to-face interaction. So there are many limitations, still many limitations in the mobile application in this sector, and actually the result of this study are what led me start with the Sophia project to develop a new kind of mobile application aimed to support situated learning in this kind of networks. The other topic that I dealt with in my PhD is related to the tourism. Actually, it's related to organizative models in tourism sector. We can look at a tourist destination like an amalgam of individual products and experience opportunities that combine to form a total experience of the area visited. We can say that even if we have a particular area full of historical or environmental beautiful aspects, there aren't any opportunity. This is not still a tourism destination. Still, there aren't the good interaction among all the actors and tourist operators working in this area. From a collaborative point of view, we can have an area with many different tourism operators, and just a subset of them can constitute what is called a tourism breeding environment. It's an environment where there are many operators who are sharing same values and same goals for developing of the area. In this kind of area, from this kind of operators could arise two different kind of network, collaborative networks. The tourism extended enterprise, that is more most common because it has a star structure. There is a big operator who try to keep from the trigger to provide a more complex complete tourism experience. He can involve many other operators to provide services, but he is in the center of the star, and he has the control. While there are tourism virtual organizations that are temporary alliances of many tourist operators that, from the trigger that comes from a business opportunity, for example a tourist package composition, can start to work together in a collaborative network to solve this problem. In my research, I faced this business model, starting from the business model of tourist operator, and then I studied how ICT is changing the way that tourists is enjoying and planning and dreaming and experiencing tourist destination. Starting from dreaming, in the past, the tourists were taking some idea from photo, story from friends, and this kind of knowledge information. Nowadays, tourists can access to web portals that are called the inspiration web portals, where people share pictures, information, beliefs from different destinations. In terms of planning, once the tourist identifies his destination, he has still to book all the services from transportation, for example, to car rental, excursion in the tourism destination. While in the past, these kind of activities were demanded of tourist operators, and the tourist was just paying at the end of these activities. Nowadays, through the use of web services like Booking or TripAdvisor or Expedia, Airbnb, and so on, the tourist is more and more involved in booking activities, and he is able to cut the middleman in this kind of activities. In the recollecting, after the end, while before the tourist was used to show his pictures to the people to remind the experience he had in the tourist destination, now there is the same kind of portals that were used in the dreaming phase are used in this phase to exchange his knowledge and to recollect what he experienced in the tourist destination. By putting together the organizative models and the tourism life cycle, me with other two colleagues of mine were working on a business model who provide an organization led by a destination management organization that could be public or private, that helps the tourists that collect all the information from all the people, all the tourist operator in TBA, and was providing services during the dreaming, planning, and recollecting phase. Okay, and was helping all the kind of collaborative networks that rise from the trigger I told before to provide the services during the experiencing. While in the experiencing, the most important thing is related, from the ICT point of view, the most important thing is related still to mobile application because of the use of mobile maps or mobile guide. So this is the real conclusion of this presentation. What we did in this kind of research was characterize organizational forms of collaborative organization in the tourism sector, and to propose the adoption of a new model to provide the coordination and control of the network activities. That's really all. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
I explained to you